Life in the city is stressful and it's increasingly getting harder and harder to afford. To escape that life, we sold everything and spent all our money on this little cabin in the woods in a quiet little town called Prescott, Arizona. It's now time to transform this fixer-upper into my dream home. Last time, I lime wash painted my living room. This week, I'm prepping the subfloor so I can install all new flooring.
When I was very young, I used to hate spiders. When I was 10 or 11, I would shriek like a little girl when I would see a daddy long legs in the bathroom. That type of shit. Look at that shit, man.
Those really long, thick legs. Oy vey!
Watch me nonchalantly kill the spider. Before, I'd have to like ask you to kill them. Let's do this shit right now. Let's go. Get pumped. Wingardium Leviosa. I felt it go in. That's how we kill spiders in America.
This week, it's time to finally work on the flooring. I just spent hours researching how to deal with this about half-inch thing. I bought not floor leveler, I bought floor patch. The difference is it's pre-mixed and it's available at Lowe's. The floor leveler I would have had to order, I would have taken a few days to come. I don't have that kind of time. Also, I figured this probably will work. Let's try to do this thing. I'm very nervous because this seems a lot more permanent than whatever I did to the walls. If I messed up on the walls, I could fix it. I could sand it down. I could just do it again. This is basically cement. Yeah, so I'm a little stressed out. I'm trying not to be. I'm trying my hardest not to be stressed out, but I am. So, let's take our time. The next day, I realized after much anxious not sleeping, much anxious dreaming, I'm probably gonna have to level out the floor a lot more. Fantastic! This stuff was made for a much smaller area. That's all I have for right now, so, and it's working. Second, third-ish coat is on, and I feel like a fucking idiot. I have spent far too much money on many tubs of those buckets because I couldn't find the self-leveling leveler. Upon research this morning, I found it at my local Lowe's, except it's too late because I've already done a coat of this in the morning. That would have costed me $30, maybe $60 for 2 bags of that, and it would have covered all of this. Instead, I spent more than I'm comfortable admitting. So many mistakes were made. This stuff is great if you have like a small little patch, a hole or whatever. Not great for like a large area like this. The thing about this that is really hard specifically for me to deal with is I don't like making mistakes, and I especially don't like when those mistakes cost me money and time and effort. So as you can tell, I am a little pissed off and annoyed. As usual, things are taking much longer than I thought it would. DIY is a never-ending journey of going to Lowe's and picking up more tools. My cats keep stepping on it when it's semi-dry. Like, they're smart enough to know not to go near it when it's like completely wet, but they're dumb enough to still do it when it's almost dry. One of the cats stepped in the floor patch before it was completely dry. I might just keep that there. I think if the next owners of this house rip up the flooring to replace it with whatever futuristic flooring, I want them to find my cat's footprint. Biscuit will forever be immortalized in this house. Alright, it is the next day. I think I'm on like my 4th or 5th coat. This should be my last coat. As I'm doing this, I will tell you a story about meeting my neighbors. I heard this really loud knock on my door. I open it and it's this much older lady, and she introduces herself. She hands me a lovely loaf of banana bread that she baked. She is very kind older lady. Every time I have an interaction with one of my neighbors, I don't know if I'm paranoid, but it feels like everyone here knows about my YouTube channel. When I tell them what I do, they don't really they react? Do they pretend to be surprised? Well, let me explain to you the most difficult part of this interaction. If you are new here, you may not know, but I am not religious in the slightest. My parents are from communist China during a time where you weren't really allowed to be religious. Why? Because if you were religious, you were kind of like considered disloyal to the Communist Party. Your allegiance should not be to family, it should not be to religion, it's just to the party. So, my parents know nothing about religion and taught me nothing about religion. I wouldn't even consider myself atheist or agnostic. I am just nothing. Vincent gets to educate me on the way. Oh, I have to clean his goddamn paws. Biscuit, come here. As a non-religious person, I don't really know how to behave around religious people when they do religious things. For example, I learned how to play guitar at this church because they had really cheap guitar lessons. Oh man, it's stiffening up. I need to work fast. They said grace before they really start learning, and I didn't know what the fuck to do. I just kind of sat there. I didn't know, was I supposed to bow my head? Was I supposed to close my eyes? I don't fucking know. I'm not religious. No one taught me this shit, and I feel really weird about asking. Turns out, after some conversation with my neighbor, she seems very religious, which is fine. I don't care. I hope she doesn't care that I'm a godless heathen. How I found out was at the end of the conversation, she said, "God bless you," as a goodbye. I don't know why. I didn't realize I was supposed to say, "God bless you too." I didn't know what you're supposed to say to that. I was just like, "You too." And then she, I think, was confused, or maybe just checking. She said it again. She said, "God bless you." And then I was like, "Yeah, you too." I told Vincent this after the fact. Vincent, who went to a Catholic all-boys school, and he couldn't have cringed harder at me. He was like, it's like Star Trek, you know? Like, you just say it back. Why didn't you know to say it back? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't grow up religious. I don't know what the fuck you're supposed to say back. Oh man, it's getting really stiff. I need to stop talking. I feel like I have been working on this for far longer than I should be. I finished putting the new patch leveler thing on, and it's still not enough. So I went and bought the thing I should have bought from the very beginning. I feel like this is art school all over again. Should have just bought the correct materials before starting because I think it would have saved me a lot of time. This is a very real side of DIY. You are going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to buy the wrong thing all the time. You're going to waste a lot of money and a lot of energy. But is it a waste? Because now I've learned the hard way what the correct way should have been. In a weird way, this really reminds me of art school because this is how my college experience went, which is why it was simultaneously really difficult and really valuable, but also really stressful, and I kind of resented it. They would tell us, here, this is a project, I know you know zero on how to do this, and you're gonna have to bring it in, basically this gallery-worthy thing by next week. Figure it out. And if you ask any questions on, teacher, how do I do that? You have any hints, tips, advice? And then they go, your job is to figure it out. How do you think they're going to treat you on the job? They're not gonna handhold you. They're not gonna tell you how to do it. They're just gonna expect that you know how to do it. A lot of the times, you're not gonna know how to do it. So figure the fuck out of it. And after an entire week of sleepless all-nighters, of yelling at yourself, potentially cutting off the tip of your finger, you bring it in. And if you didn't have the problem-solving skills necessary to figure it out, you would get a D or an F, or publicly humiliated in front of all of your very high-level classmates who had the exact same assignment, no help whatsoever, and somehow they brought in a gallery-worthy piece because they worked harder, they were smarter, and they were just better than you. Yeah, not fun. Not a fun experience. This reminds me of that. After many, many days of trying and failing, I have still failed. I was never the perfect little student. Let's just say I won the teachers over by the end of the class. But at the beginning of the class, I was perceived as a hopeless fuck up. I don't even know how this girl got into the school. If there's anything I can do is to persevere through my own failures and to keep trying, even when everyone tells me I'm a piece of shit. Enough rambling about how I suck at life, and time to get started. Unfortunately, that was not the last layer of concrete that I have to mix. This might not even be the last layer either, but I am so close. I know I keep saying that, but I'm so close. Sixth time? I think we're over 6 times. 6th time the charm. 6th time the charm. Surprising what ends up being the most difficult part of a DIY renovation. If you're planning on doing your own flooring, learn from my mistakes. Buy the proper tools, I don't care how much it's going to cost you. Read the directions at least 3 times, probably more, and mix in small batches, smaller than you think. Otherwise, you're probably going to spend twice as much money fixing all of your mistakes instead of saving it by doing it yourself. Though I'm pretty sure I still probably saved a lot more money than I would have if I hired someone else. Not that I could, everyone's busy. There's still a shortage of labor here. Now that the subfloor is finally prepped and ready for flooring, next week is going to be the most exciting part. I'm going to be finally installing all new vinyl plank flooring. If you want to follow along and escape your 9 to 5 with me, make sure to like and subscribe.